Okay, this is going to be a weekly recap from the 17th of October to the 21st, and it didn't work out. This was a red week, 16 bucks lost, and that's totally fine considering the fact that, I am trying a much higher dollar risk level, and yeah, it's been kind of crappy the past few weeks, but ideally I can reach a breakthrough. There were a lot of setups, especially last week with GTII, that I just didn't trade that I should have considered, a lot of them in the afternoon. And this is essentially just going to go over the GPOX trades that I tried that did not work out, and hopefully I can be able to learn a few things from this weekly recap right here. Just six trades, two of them were profitable, and it was these two right here. And yeah, it didn't really help that, it ended up being a red week because I had a 33% winning percentage rate out of these six trades. So not too many trades to get the data from, but definitely it does show that most of the setups didn't work out, which was true because I tried that GPOX thing right there three times. And my average dollar gain, average dollar loss were about the same. Percent gain and percent loss were a bit far from each other. They were a little different just because I did have this one right here. And I had this one trade that ended up being profitable, but it was a scratch. So that probably didn't help too much with the stats. And it does seem like I at least traded larger on the two setups that, in theory, were not a loser. So, yeah, let's go ahead and go over the trades one by one, starting with GPOX on the 18th. 18th is right here. So, essentially, it was uptrending over a longer period of time from this 24-cent level as high as $2, and it had the first red day, and I was trying to trade it. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think the lesson is to just possibly be very cautious with stocks that are having its first big red day, because it seems like all of these tsunami panic stocks just don't seem to offer that much of profitability. They just don't really seem to bounce that nicely, and I need to keep that in mind and perhaps stop trying to go for a dip buy when they just keep downtrending because they don't bounce. Let's look at my first entry, which was a morning panic bounce play. I was in at 952 at 130, so 952 was right here at 130, so I got in it right here. Why did I get in it? Very simple, morning panic bounce play, drops, sells off, and then it found a bottom right here, and I'm in it at 952 thinking that, it just hit a bottom right here, first green candle, and now I can be in for a setup that tries to bounce, and best case scenario gets towards VWAP and be super profitable. I dig it out 953 at 125 and a half, so 953 was right here at 125 and a half, and I don't mind this one too much right here because I got in when it looked like it was trying to bounce, and even though in this case it didn't break the day low, whenever I try a morning panic bounce play, my risk level is normally the day low in most cases. And if it looks like it's going to break under it, I will be cutting the trade even if it doesn't break under it and it bounces back like it did right here. I just don't want to take that risk that I'm in the setup right here. It's not the ultimate bottom. It breaks the day low, huge panic, and I'm having a huge issue trying to get out of my position. So yeah, this one didn't work out, unfortunately, but I think that was a good attempt. Oh, and I think the issue was, although I still would have likely have had a red week, I did trade way too large in these two trades right here. I guess this one too, but not as far off as these two trades, and I did size it up from 100 to 200 shares when if I were to have traded just 100 shares, I would have stuck to that $100 risk level. And as you can see, 16 goes to just $3. So I think that's the silver lining that maybe, it was just unlucky that I had some setups that didn't work out and I just traded too large. Let's look at the next one, which is still a morning panic balance play setup. I was in at 955 at 135. So again, now that I saw that it wasn't breaking below the day low, I'm in it at 955, especially at this point because it looks like it's breaking past that channel right here of this 135 level, and I'm in it for this reason right here. It did get a little higher, but as you can tell, it didn't do very much. It sold off. It didn't actually bounce. I got out at 10:02 at 125 and a half, so 10:02 was right here. I got out because it looked like it was going to break the day low, and I had a good sell. It did break the day low this time, and it got to 116. Sure, it bounced back briefly, but this thing could have easily just continued to downtrend and sell off. So I did it right. It just didn't work out. Traded almost twice what I was supposed to trade, so I did lose a lot more than what I was supposed to. Again, still would have had a red week, but not as much. And that's a good lesson, a good try. Again, I might stay away from tsunami panic stocks because they don't really seem to bounce that much, especially looking at GPOX right here. Some of them in particular, like GTII, seem to work out, but these weird ones, just not that ideal. Let's look at the last trade with GPOX, and this was a tsunami panic inverse head and shoulder. So it's a bit different. I'm not trying to go for a random bounce. This one's a bit more calculated. I was in at 1026 at let's just say 119. So 1026 was right here, and I got in at 119Y. Inverse head and shoulders after a big sell-off from $2 all the way to $1.20. Shoulder, head, and then the shoulder. I'm in it at 1026 right here at 119, thinking that it's going to ideally, although it doesn't look too nice, be an inverse head and shoulders, and best case scenario get to VWAP or even get above it. I did get out 1031 at 115.7. So 1031 was right here at this level right here, 115.7, right? Yeah, so that was right around right here. I got out. Why? Because it looked like it was going to break the day low, and the shoulder was also right at the same level as the head, so it wasn't like a proper inverse head and shoulders again, because shoulder same level here, and when it looked like it was going to break the day low, I got out, and it did get much lower. It got to the now $1 level, and you'd think it would try to hold now the round number of $1. Nope, it continued to break under it and get as low as 75 cents. It did eventually turn around, but after giving it a few times, it just gets to a point where I just don't want to mess with it anymore. The only thing that maybe could have been possible was the idea that this trend line that I drew on E-Trade ended up playing out something like this, perhaps. Okay, not like that, but yeah, something like this. If I could maybe draw it further back. You do see a break right here, and it goes from 85 to $1, but I mean, for something to drop 50% and offer this as the only thing that worked, and it took a very long time, not really nice. Good try, but not really nice, and I did trade larger than what I was supposed to. Let's look at NSAV on the 19th. 19th is going to be right here. And yeah, it's just been something that's been continuously uptrending, although now this one broke out of this range on the 17th, and it was starting to get a little more exponential, which is nice. And the 19th is going to be this day right here. I was in at 942, 139, high of day, round number, breakout. So 942, 139. Let me just try to zoom in a bit more. 942 was right here at 139. Why did I get in it? Again, the idea was is that it's been uptrending, looking very nice, and we were hitting the ceiling of 139, and the goal was for it to break the 14 level and then make a really nice uptrend, being morning breakouts for like a breakout past this range it's been struggling in. And I specifically got in it at this point because there was a very thin wall of sellers at 139. I thought it was going to break past it, but this one did not work out. I did get out 944 at 1385, so pretty much pretty close to where I got in. 944 is going to be right here. I got out just seeing that there were some sellers showing up. I think a 400,000 share seller showed up at the ask, so now the thin wall of sellers that I was looking at was no longer thin, and I thought it was going to be way too hard for it to break past the level, especially after it tried for such a long period of time. The wall of sellers looked very weak, and then it just got way stronger. I got out, and as you can see, it did downtrend. It got even further down, and yeah, the setup just did not work out. But it was a good try for what it was, and I traded that one well. Let's look at NLST, which did work out nicely on the 20th. Hold up, I'll be back. I see a spider. All right, I am back. I wonder how dumb I sounded. I was just, going over the trades on my desk, and then this huge freaking bug just crawled up, and it's dead now. I killed it. So I'm not sure where I left off, other than the fact that this setup didn't work out, and it sold off, and yeah, I didn't want to consider a dip buy, even though this one I guess offered something. I mean, from the sub penny, maybe 99 level, yeah, it wasn't really that nice, especially after having that setup with GPOX not working. Let's look at NLST. Oh, now I know. I gotta do NLST for the 20th. 20th is gonna be right here. And it was nice because it had like this little run up right here, then it had a red day, sure, but we had a gap down and we had a decent amount of volume, and I thought this thing could have offered some kind of a bounce, which was the case. Let's go ahead and go over the 20th. I guess from pre-market, even though it's an OTC, it did have some price action going on. I was in at 937, 183, and this was a morning panic bounce play VWAP breakout. So yeah, 937. Let me just zoom in a bit more. 937 was right here at this 183 level I got in. And why did I trade this? Well, I was actually trying to get in at 174. Now my voice is freaking cracking up. Right here, I was trying to get in it, but I didn't get filled. But I've seen this happen before. This was like a gap down morning panic bounce play. I wasn't able to get in at this point, but it did uptrend, and then it was trading in this channel, and this is something I've seen work out a lot, where it trades in a channel and then it breaks past VWAP. And when it was looking like it was trying to break past it, I just got in. I had to get in, and I also have to get a drink of water, or my voice is just gonna keep drying up. And I did get out of this one at 942. My average was 192, so 942 was right here, and I got out at 192, my average. This was a very good trade, a little bit out of my realm trading now this channel for a break past VWAP and not the initial one right here because I just didn't get filled, but this one did work out, and it even tried to regain a trend line that I drew, which doesn't always happen, but it's nice to see that, it did even better than what was part of your plan. I got out at 942 because it was looking like it was going to break past it, and it did, but it did try to regain itself, and this thing offered a nice uptrend afterwards. And yeah, that was a really good setup, and I was happy I had that after all of those, setups that didn't work out. Let's look at the last one, GTII on the 21st. Right here, obviously the last day. Nothing significant, but it was looking like it was trying to break past the $5 level. This is the 21st. I got in it at 932, 499. Morning spike, multi-day, resistance, round number breakout. So 932, 499. Probably zoom in a bit more. 932. I guess I'll zoom in at this point, but just keep in mind that this thing did do what I've mentioned, like a lot of panics in the afternoon. This one actually would have been pretty nice. I wasn't there when that one happened at 932 right here. Why did I get in it? Again, the idea that it was going to break past 5, and I was in it very quickly. It just didn't work out. I got out the next minute at 499 and a half, so 933. 499 and a half. I was out right around here the next minute. It did break past 5, but just briefly, and then the sellers started to come in, and the people were dumping their shares at the bid. I got out of the trade. It just didn't work out. We had a sell-off, came back, and it kind of just traded around. It didn't do much until it, I guess with the selling pressure caused it to do a panic, big volume. This was a nice bounce. That's it for this week. Just a bunch of setups that didn't work out, and I traded too large, it seems like. And there were a few setups that I could have traded that were pretty profitable, like GTII in the afternoon. I'm happy I traded NLST. Even though I didn't get filled in the morning panic bounce play, I still got in the upper range for the VWAP breakout. That's it. Ideally, I can do better this upcoming week, God willing. That's all I have for this weekly recap right here.